Have you ever created a budget on payday, felt completely motivated, and then abandoned it before the middle of the month? You wrote down your bills. You promised yourself, you stop overspending this month. You even decided that there will be no takeaways, no unnecessary shopping, and absolutely no impulse purchases. But then life just suddenly happens. The children need something for school. The food ran out earlier than expected. And before long, the budget is gone. Then you told yourself, I'm just not disciplined enough. I am terrible with money. Budgeting does not work for me. But today, I want to challenge that thinking. Maybe you are not the problem. Maybe the budget you created was just unrealistic. Maybe it didn't account for your real life. Maybe it was just so strict that there was almost impossible. It was just almost impossible for you to just follow through that budget that you created for yourself. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how to create a budget that actually works. One that gives you direction without making you feel trapped. Welcome back to Broke Rebuild, where we rebuild our finances, renew our mind, restore our confidence, and rebuild our lives one practical step at a time. So budget should not be punishment. Many people hear the word budget and immediately think, restriction, no enjoyment, no freedom, no spending, but that is not what budget should be. A budget should simply be a plan for your money. It tells your money where to go, before adverse emergencies or impulse purchases decide where it should go for you. When you have a plan for a journey, you use directions. The directions do not imprison you, they help you reach your destination. A budget works in the same exact way. It helps you decide what matters to you. It makes sure that your rent is paid, that there is enough food in the house, and it helps you to prepare for future expenses. So it gives you the permission to enjoy yourself, without feeling guilty, because that spending money was already included in your plan. So a good budget does not say you cannot enjoy life. A good budget, simply helps you enjoy life now without destroying your tomorrow. That is a completely different mindset. Why do most budgets fail? Before we can build a budget that works, we need to understand why budgets do fail. The budget is based on an ideal life. Sometimes we create budgets for the person we wish we were. We say, oh, I only spend I will only spend £50 on food. I will never eat out. I will not buy anything for myself. But the numbers do not match our actual household or lifestyle. A family of 5 cannot use the same grocery budget as one person. I used to feel this way a lot. Like when I look at my friends and they are spending less and I spend a bit more. But truly, my family is 5 and their family is just 2 or 3. So it can never be the same. Someone who wants to travel to work every day will have a different transport cost from someone who works from home. Your budget must reflect your real life, not someone else's life on social media. Another reason is that you forget irregular expenses. Many budgets only include monthly bills, rent, electricity, council tax, internet, phone, you know. What about birthdays? What about school trips, Christmas, car repairs, hair appointments, annual subscriptions? These expenses may not happen every month, but they still do happen. So if you do not plan for them, they will come in and make it feel like these are emergencies. Another reason why budgets fail is that a budget is just too strict. A budget that gives you no room for enjoyment will eventually make you feel rebel. You may follow it for 5 days and then spend excessively because you feel deprived. Even a small personal spending money can make your budget appear easier to follow. A goal is not to remove every pleasure. The goal is to make pleasure affordable. Another reason why budgets fail is that you budget monthly, not daily. You may decide that, okay, you have £400 for groceries and spending this month. But if you do not break that amount into weekly limits, right, you may spend 250 in the first 10 days. And then the rest, the rest of the month really becomes very stressful for you. Monthly income often needs to be managed on weekly proportions. Another reason is that you do not review your budget. A budget is not something you create once and ignore. It needs attention. Prices change, income changes, your household need changes. A working budget is adjusted regularly. You are not failing when you revise your budget. You are only responding to reality. Now let's look at the broke rebuild method of budgeting. Now, let us create a simple budgeting system that you can actually use. You can do this in a notebook, on your phone, in a spreadsheet, or with a budgeting app. This tool is not the most important part. The habit is. 1. Calculate your total income. Write down every reliable source of income you expect every month. This may include your salary, may include your benefits, maintenance payment, regular side hustle income, or any other predictable income. Do not build your essential budget around money that may not arrive. For example, if your business income changes every month, use a cautious estimate based on what you are reasonably confident you will receive. So your total income is the amount available for your plan. Step 2, list all the essential fixed bills. These are the bills that are usually similar every month. They include your rent or mortgage, council tax, gas and electricity, your insurance, your debt minimum payment, for your credit cards, childcare, regular transport cost. Write down the payment date beside each one of them. Knowing when the bills will leave your account is just as important as knowing how much they cost. So you may have enough money across the month, but still experience difficulties because several bills leave before your income arrives. The next step is to calculate your variable essentials. So these are necessary expenses, but the amount may change. For example, groceries, your fuel, your public transport, your school cost, your household products, medication, personal care. Look at what you're actually, you've spent over few months. Do not choose an unrealistically low figure because it will appear good on paper. If you normally spend 500 on groceries, writing 250 does not make you save 250 because it's unrealistic. It will only create a budget that will fail. That is the truth. So instead, begin with a realistic number and then identify sensible ways that you can reduce it eventually. Another step is to now create a sinking fund. So a sinking fund is money that you usually save, over a period of time for an expenses is coming. So suppose Christmas usually costs you about 600. Instead of waiting till December and using your credit card, you can start saving £50 for 12 months, right? So if the school uniform normally costs you £240 a year, you could start saving £20 a month. You could create a sinking fund for birthdays, for Christmas, for car maintenance, school uniforms, home repairs, holidays, annual insurance, birthday, business expenses. These expenses are not unexpected at all. You know that they will definitely come, but they are not coming in monthly. So planning for them, turns your future panic into perfect preparations. So don't wait to see what is left at the end of the month. Usually nothing will be left. So treat savings like a bill, right? You choose an amount and transfer it as soon as you get paid. So it could be £5, though. It could be £10, 20. The amount might feel small, but you're building a system. So start with an emergency starter fund. Just budget maybe £100, then increase it to 250. As you go, just keep going. You do not need to reach the final goal immediately. You just need to begin from somewhere. And then the next step would to give yourself a personal spending allowance. This is very, very important. You need to choose a realistic amount for small wants. Because sometimes, oh yeah, a girl needs a cup of coffee. You need a lunch time with your girls, with your with your family, with your friends. A beauty product here and there, entertainment, something to enjoy. Once that amount is gone for the month, it is gone, right? But because it is included in your plan, you do not have to feel guilty, about spending it. So this creates a balance between discipline and enjoyment. And the next step will be to divide flexible spending by the week. So after paying your bills, your savings, your sinking funds, calculate what is remaining for groceries, transport, and personal spending. Then divide the amount across the number of weeks until the next payday. For example, if you have 480 for groceries, and then your flexible household in spending for the next 4 weeks, your weekly limit is going to be 120. So this gives you clear boundary. Instead of saying, can I afford this sometime this month, you ask, does this fit into my week's allowance? So this is much more easier to manage. If it doesn't fit in, you skip that. Yeah, you skip that. And the next step will be to use separate accounts or digital pots. You could use one for the bills, one for everyday spending, one for savings account. So you may also create digital pots for Christmas, emergency, school costs, car repairs. And for some of us that are migrants that still have, families back home that we support, you can also have a separate account, for family, extended family expenses. Just make a plan. And when the bill money is separated, you are less likely to spend it accidentally. The next step will be to review your budget weekly. Choose one day, perhaps Sunday evening, spend about 10-15 minutes checking where, what came in, what went out, did I overspend here, or are there bills that are due next week? Do I need to adjust anything? This is a meeting where you shame yourself. It's a meeting for yourself where you learn, and the budget is the information. It just helps you to make better decision next week. And what does happen really when you overspend? Yes, let's be realistic. There are some weeks where you definitely overspend. That does not mean you should abandon the whole budget. Imagine you're driving somewhere, you take the wrong turn. What happens? I made the you don't say, oh, because I made the wrong turn, so I might as well just keep driving in the opposite direction till the rest of the day. You correct the route. You do the same with your money. When you overspend, ask yourself, what cost it? Was this budget unrealistic? Was it an emotional purchase? Did I forget an expense? Or did I spend because I was tired, stressed, or unprepared? Then make one correction. Reduce another flexible category. Pause unnecessary spending for the next few weeks. Adjust your next month's budget. Yeah, that's what you do. Learn from the mistakes, without turning it into your identity. You are not bad with money because you made just one poor decision. You're learning a new skill. So there's this scripture as well. I love to always put a scripture to encourage us on this journey. So it's Proverbs 21, verse 5, which says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." This verse highlights two things: planning and consistency. Financial rebuilding does not normally happen through one drastic decision. It happens through repeated intentional choices. Planning your money is not about fear, it's about stewardship. It's about using what you have wisely while God is, has entrusted what God has entrusted to you, and growing it, and making provisions for what He has placed that money in your care for. So you may not have the income you want now, but you can be managing what is currently in your hands effectively. So this week, we're going to have this challenge. It's called the 7-day budget reset. Yes. So for the next 7 days, write down every purchase you make. The second, place each purchase into one category: need, want, and unplanned. And third, calculate how much you spent on each category. Finally, create a budget for the following week based on what you discovered. Do not judge yourself. The idea is not for you to judge yourself. Just collect the truth, right? Awareness comes before change. So before you leave, tell me in the comments, what is the biggest reason your previous budget failed? Yes. Was it unexpected? Sorry, unexpected expenses? Was it impulse spending? Or an unrealistic grocery budget, not earning enough, or simply not checking that the budget was right, when you created it? Your answer might help someone else realize that they are not alone. So please like my video, share it with someone who needs to take control of their money, and subscribe to Broke Rebuild. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about something people experience but rarely admit, and it's called emotional spending. When we shop, when we feel, when we're stressed, and how to stop. So remember, a budget is not, there to tell you that you cannot have a life. A budget helps you to build a life that you can actually afford. You do not need a perfect plan. You need an honest plan that you're willing to review, adjust, and follow. £1, one decision, 1 week at a time. Let's review together. I love you all, and stay tuned to the next episode. Bye.